All right, everyone, it's good to see you. You are on the Ask or Quiz the Music Man podcast. I don't even know what I call this thing. Quiz the Music Man podcast. And we talk about all things music. I do gear reviews, music reviews. I talk about industry people, what's going on. And I know lately I've kind of been getting into self-help. Which I'm not a self-help expert or even a amateur. But over the years, and having had so many students and been in so many different involved in things, I was a construction worker. I was an appraiser, a broker. I worked in commercial real estate. I worked for banks. Managed construction companies, helped build houses, sold building supplies to one of the largest builders in South Florida. Was in the church for many years as arts director, choir director. I've performed, led bands. I did a little acting. I didn't really get into that too much. Just couldn't take all the rehearsals and things. I want to hit my mark and say my line and get out of there. So I just didn't have it. So anyway, I know we've gotten kind of into self-help a little bit, and I just wanted to maybe continue that a little bit. This is my kind of low-key thing. Here's my Pooh Bear. He's all tied up in a wire, but he's there. Yeah. Oh, stay up, Pooh Bear. There you go. Set him right there. Anyway, let's hope he's can stay up there for a minute. Ah, there we go. And I'm just in my little lesson room here that I teach music out of and record and all kind of things. And I'm trying to just get some content out and let you kind of see what it is and get your input, what you would like it to become. So that's why I've kind of been into self-help. The last one was Morgan Freeman's top 10 things for life or whatever. And he seems to be a good dude and been very successful and had most of his success, I think, later in life. But, nothing wrong with that. I'm later in life and I'm still out there. Okay, so we talked about last time his top 10 things in life, how he does his life: be who you are, build word of mouth, be courageous, always do your best. Live your craft, find your path, just do it, learn from others, hold on to your values, and have fun. So I talk a lot about, you can be given the nuts and bolts, and it's really the same if you're teaching somebody an instrument. I can say, play this, play that, or people come and want lessons at my school. And I understand, I was there, but they're looking for all the things, and I tell them, please do your due diligence. I go a little step further. I say, don't just look at my school, look at the other schools, talk to some of the people. I said, really look at what I write about, watch my videos, and listen to what I say, because I tell people that it's a three-way system, and it starts with the parent's commitment, and then the child's commitment or the student, and then our instructors committed, because we are committed. And unfortunately, it's been a lifelong thing that I realize. It's just like somebody says, oh, I'm feeling nauseous. Well, see, if you're nauseous, you're making other people sick. You are nauseated. Now, I know that's, a little semantics there, but it's a whole different word. It means a whole different thing. And it's like the word committed. People don't understand what committed means. Committed to most people means, oh, I'm going to try something, or I'm going to be there most time. No, committed means there is no option. In other words, you're agreeing to do something at the expense of everything else. Now, I realize people get hit by cars and things like that, and bad things happen to good people. Well, but the old school is, if you're eating bacon and eggs, the chicken is involved, the pig is committed. And the reason is because the chicken just laid an egg and gave you that egg. And it's something, it's a part of him, but he can go on about his business and she can have another egg. Now the pig, that bacon, that pig, they took his life. There is no more pig. So that's really committed. Because I do have parents, oh, what if I miss a lesson? And my question is, well, why are you missing your lessons? Well, I've got something else. I said, well, then maybe you should just go and do that other thing, because you can't start something saying I'm going to miss a bunch of lessons. Now, having said that, I realize people do miss lessons, but listen, I was in band. I was achieved really high in school. I had 3 or 4 jobs. I lived on my own since I was in 5th grade. I bought all my clothes. I paid for my car. So I had 3 or 4 jobs all the time. I used to mow grass, work at a gas station, and I'd give lessons and things, and I'd go and sing and do other things. So worked on a farm, got paid for that a little bit. So I understand life can be tough, but when you're in high school and middle school and you're working every hour you're not in school, and you fall in your bed exhausted and get up the next morning and do the same thing, when you get to that level, then you can miss a few lessons to do something else. And if you're committed to soccer or something else, that's great. Go do it. Don't let me be the thing that holds you back from soccer. But I used to tell, played high school sports, I would tell the coach I couldn't be there. I've got a band gig, or I've got this. And sometimes they got upset, but I was willing to walk, and if they didn't want me there, that was my commitment level. Now, it doesn't have to be your commitment level. You can go play your other stuff, but just realize you're not going to get as much out of music unless you're committed. So here's what we're going to talk about: life and how to get yourself going. And it applies to music, math, whatever it is. But you see, I like to center not in the nuts and bolts so much at first, but in the why. Because if you don't know why you want music lessons, you're never going to build that commitment level. If you don't know why you want to do well in math, you're probably not going to do well, or you're just going to learn a bunch of tricks to something you don't understand, and so forth. So here's the why. The why is who you are and getting in touch with who you are. And it's not some mystical, name yourself Sunshine or whatever. It's a very true thing. It used to be an internship used to prove that, because somebody would go to a craftsman or a professional intern with them, and they would get food and lodging and not a lot else. They'd get a great education, and the person would say, this just isn't for you, or not that you can't do it, it's just not in your heart. You see, it has to be in your heart, I feel. So here's some things to kind of get you going as far as what's going to happen there. And these are just random things. One thing you can do to get yourself in a, people call it a thinking of abundance, and kind of detaching yourself from what you're doing. Because when you interact with people in a way that's how you're going to make money or how you're going to negotiate with them, you have to be detached. And I read about a guy, he went out and he tried to get 100 no's a day. N-O's, somebody saying no to him. He would go, he went, first stop was the ice cream shop. Could I get this full 3 scoops with all the sprinkles? Can I get one for free? And people looked at him like crazy and said, heck no, you can't get one for free. He's like, okay, well, can I get 2 scoops for free? And they said, well, no. And they're like, well, let me ask you, is there anything here I can get for free? And the lady said, you know what? I'll give you 1 scoop of 1 ice cream for free. And that was it. He did that all over, for days and days. And what he saw was that people 50% of the time would give him what he wanted the first time. He would go into a hardware store and pick out a bunch of things, and he'd say, hey, I'm going to buy all this stuff. Can I get this hammer for free? 50% of the time they'd say yes. Or I want this clock, but I'm only going to pay 50%. Is that okay? 50% of the time, he would. The other time, he'd get some glares and hard looks, but see, he didn't let others' emotions influence him. He kept his cool. You should always speak slowly, a little lower in your voice, and you want to speak with calm assertiveness. So it's not being a pain in the butt, it's not yelling at people, because you saw my voice rose a little bit, I'm just talking to you. But if I were speaking to you and I wanted something, this is how I would speak. And if you really want to improve that, what you'll do is, from time to time in your sentence, pause slightly and enhance a word every 5 to 10 words. And that will really help you. That's actually a form of acting to kind of switch things up a little bit. But let's get going here because I'm taking all the time. So that's something you can do to just see how the world works. You got to be nice. You got to be ready for a lot of negativity. Go see how it works. I heard about a guy traded a house starting with a paperclip. Now, of course, at first people are just probably giving them things they don't want. But think about it. You know, I've been in an office before, and I remember a guy was saying he was late for work because his alarm clock. Back in the olden days, before these cell phones, we had this radio clock that would alarm at a certain time of the day. That's how we woke up. And his wasn't working. And I had an extra one on my desk, and I just gave it to him. Now, it was probably worth, at the time, they were new for 10, 15 bucks, probably worth $5 to somebody. I gave it to him. Now, of course, that's been a few years, and $5 was $5, probably like 20 bucks now, but still most people, you might do something for a friend. So I know at first he was just getting gifts, but then at a time, you think about it. Let's say you had somebody's old watch that they didn't want. It works, and you could trade it somebody for a pair of shoes or something, and he built up to a house. Give that a try. Dumpster diving, or they call them pickers. Now you have to do it logistically. Who do you know that's a friend that's a manager or knows a manager of a store? Because I know places like Office Depot, and they throw out, like on Thursday, they throw out crap they just don't even want because it's logistically more expensive for them to try to give it away or clearance or whatever. A lot of times clearance, people will come and look at the clearance table and they won't buy anything and they'll just leave the store. So it's somebody you could have sold them something with a high markup. Go dumpster diving. Go around right before pickup, trash pickup, heavy duty stuff, and get stuff. Listen, I knew a guy, he had like 10 kids. And he would send them out and they picked stuff out. He had others that would, if it was furniture, they would fix it. Televisions, if it was an old air conditioning units, he'd take the metal out, and he had a good system. Of course, he had free labor, 10 kids. But he made a good living and he sent 4 kids to college, and I moved on. I don't know what happened to the rest of the kids, but, they didn't live like kings, but they always had stuff. And he just picked up trash, things people didn't want, and repurposed them. And he had a little antique store and he sold things. So see if you can dumpster dive. Go in there and get stuff that you want, that you like, that you can just give to people at first, and then soon they'll hey, Tony's always got some piece of trash I use, so let me go back to him. So let's talk about how to, if you're young, how to keep yourself, excuse me 1 second, how to keep yourself worrying about your money. And I always said, if you're young, save, earn, and invest. So if you're just getting money for birthdays and stuff, either announce and let everybody know you want to do something big with that money, so anything they give is going to go right to that, or take 50% of it and put it in your bank account and never spend it, ever. Ever is until you get out of college or something. You might have, you might have a couple thousand, you might have as much as $10,000 to $20,000 sitting there. Then earn. Don't try to, I'll get into that later, don't try to be super frugal, waste all your time being frugal. Frugality is great, but sometimes people put too much time in it. Earn. So focus on what you're doing, what you can do to monetize it. If you're a creative person, I've seen people make a beautiful little pattern, like a flower. I knew a guy who could make a little flower in just 2 seconds. He did that kind of brush, the fan brush stuff. Google it, and he made like flowers and things. He would take little squares of wood he got off a construction site. They were thrown away. He got like several thousand. He just cleaned them. He threw a flower. He actually made a little frame out of just real thin pieces of wood trim that he bought. He made the frames. He painted them. He put them on there. They were little flowers. He took about 10 into this little shop, and he gave them to them and said, listen, see if you can sell these. What can you sell them for? I don't want no money. They sold them. He came back the next week. They's like, here's your money. He's like, what that? He said, well, I sold them, and here's your cut. So he just started supplying those, and he could sit in an hour and maybe he could do like 100 in an hour. And the store was selling for like $10. They were giving him $5. You know, that's not too bad. So learn to, whatever you have and can do, you know, save, earn, and then invest. And the easiest investment is in either stocks or some type of derivative where you're just using your money. You're not putting any time except into research. And it can be as little as buying an annuity. I know some people will just, don't buy an annuity. But listen, a lot of people don't do anything. And it's the old saw. If you would invest $100 a month from the time you're 20 to your time you're 26, you could stop. And if somebody else started at 26 investing 100, they would invest all the way until they retire. And if you stopped at investing at 26, you would have more money than them. But people don't do it. So invest in the stock market, buy an annuity, research, do your thing. Invest in things, buy stuff you like, buy collectibles. But buy the ones you like and see the ones that make money. So that's my mantra is save, earn, invest. First you save, then you earn, and then you invest it. Should you buy cheap or invest in the best? Well, I think it depends. Sometimes you just need to buy something that's got a super brand name recognition. And I always say if you're going to buy, like I tell, you know, women, if you're buying a Coach purse or a Dooney & Burke purse and everybody's buying them and they're expensive, go buy, if you buy a $250 purse, buy $250 worth of stock. Just do that. And you'll see in 5 to 10 years, your stock will be worth so many thousands of dollars. You can get tons of purses. And you can just use all that money to invest in stocks. But sometimes you need something cheap. So go get, if it's just something that you're using, like a chair in your garage, you don't care what it looks like, go dumpster diving and get you a chair. If it's the chair in the lobby of your business, you might want to get a nice chair. I mean, I used to get just little things and make them for crafts, for decoration. But I would always, in my business, you come in, for holidays, I went and bought this really overpriced, expensive lamp that looks all holiday. And when I bought that sucker and put it on the counter, people oohed and awed over that like you would not believe. And then I could put the little cheap dollar store stuff and things I made around it. So buy cheap or invest in the best, a little of both. Or should you coupon or should you be frugal and earn more? It depends. Some people can coupon and they come out of there and they pay them $10 and they got $500 worth of food. But you have to say, some of that food, I mean, you can only have so many boxes of macaroni and cheese. And a lot of it's stuff, if you don't eat it, it's not worth it. But you can do it and give some away to a food pantry, because nothing wrong with that. Or earn more. Well, it depends. If you're earning good money, you need to, if you're couponing, how much time are you spending couponing? It's like cleaning your house. When you get to a point, if you want to really focus on your job and earn a lot of money, you might have to hire somebody to clean. You might have to buy that better car. There's a limit, but that's something you have to look at. Now, having said that, I see people just becoming indentured servants, which means they'll buy astronomically priced cars and they'll rent wheels and rent all this other stuff. You know, if you're making a couple $100 grand a year, yeah, go get your nails done. Guys, get yourself manscaped, whatever. You know, if you're making 20, 30 grand, you shouldn't be doing any of that. And that's now I'm sounding like an old geezer, but I didn't do it when I was young. I, drove an old clunky car I could fix myself and didn't pay nothing for. Paid the guy $10 a week, and I worked for him cutting his grass, so really it was almost for free. But I had that car for 10 years. Man, that was a great car. Anyway, coupon and be frugal or earn it. That's something you got to kind of look at. Make it yourself or buy it. You see all these DIY things? Let me tell you, you're going to spend so much money on tools that you're going to use once, and supplies, and your time. I mean, you're just sometimes better off having it done. Now, if it's easy, I've laid tile before, and you go get them stick tile, stick them down, put a little coat of sealant, you're great. Or if you're good at stuff, if you're good at, mechanical things, you fix your car. If you're not, just pay somebody to fix it and get it back on the road and make yourself more money. So that's, in the olden times, people used to make everything themselves. If you ever watch Little House on the Prairie, you'll see what that gets you. You work yourself to death, you have nothing to show for it, and everybody lives in misery. Now, the person that did the best buys everything because it's the guy that owns the store. So he does one thing better. The guy that sells wheat to another distributor, the guy that sells you plowshares, the guy that sells you nails, the guy that has a restaurant, So think about that. You can do it all yourself, and you should some point, but as you get older, as you get more intense into doing something, you need to start focusing your attention. Used versus new. Let me tell you, it goes back into that too. There's an old, what's it called? Where is it? Here it is. Used versus new. There's an old, the Pilgrims used to say, use it up, fix it up, wear it out, or do without. And that's great. But again, that's like the pilgrim that does everything himself. When he's ready to die at the end of his life, he's got nothing to show for it. All his stuff is junk. There you go. Now, had he specialized and say he was good at growing corn and just grew corn and sold corn, he would have had a lot more money. So he wouldn't have to use something up or wear it out or buy it. He'd just buy a new one and still have a reserve. That's the key. Someone who has money, they're living grand off of what you would pay $10 a week. So in other words, if you paid me $10 a week, you can have a new car every year, you can live in a big house, you can go on trips, you can afford health insurance, you can afford all that, have a retirement. That's what it's like to them. They're doing so well. After a point, you can only spend so much money, even if you buy expensive things. So let's see what else we got. So if you were to say, now I did also, who is the Shark Tank guy, Mr. Wonderful? He's cool to follow. He says everybody should, when they're very young, concern themselves just about making a lot of money. Because once you make a lot of money, you can help the poor, you can do whatever you want to. I don't know that I agree with that totally. I think sometimes you have to do things that maybe aren't what you should be doing to get somewhere else. And I think you should do those when it's free and cheap when you're young. But I understand sometimes you're just going to have to go get the job and make the money. Here's the problem, though. I've seen it. People make the money, it doesn't change the way they live. I was an appraiser, and I appraised houses down, Yoko Ono's house, which I've helped appraise Mar-a-Lago back before it was President Trump's. All these houses, and I would meet somebody, they're worth $250 million. I'm appraising their house. They've got, the kids are in India, the wife's in Europe, and they're skiing, and they got houses everywhere. And then 2 years later, I'm back again. The place is in foreclosure. He's not worth $250 million. He's worth negative $100 million. So those things don't always work. But if you want to just make money, I would say sell insurance. It's the easiest thing. I mean, it's easy for you to get into it and make money. I'm not saying it's easy to do. And if you want to be happy, be a professor. Or both. Be a professor. That's why my students that want to be teachers in the school system, I say sell insurance in the summer, sell life insurance. All you do to start with is you just sit down with your family members, say, listen, I'm not being pushy. Here's what it is. If you're going to buy life insurance from somebody, I just want you to commit to buying it from me if I can do the price. And here's what we usually recommend for people in your situation, and be honest with them. You'll sell, if you talk to 10 people, you'll sell 5 policies, you'll be on your way. Teaching and side hustles. So an artist is a teacher just by definition. And side hustles. So are you going to be a side hustle, or are you going to do more of what you do? See, some people, if they're teachers, they can't teach in the off season. It's too much for them. Others want to do that. Some people play music, and if they started getting paid for it, it goes all pear-shaped. They just can't do it. Some people want to play music for money. So decide who you are. Don't be the one that really don't want to get paid for it, and then you're trying to be a musician. That's usually, you know, Uncle Pete, the drummer, who just sits in his barn playing drums all day and never gets a job. As opposed to somebody that you hear and you go, oh, they're really not that good. And then a year later they got a recording contract because they went to it and produced it and stuck with it and used marketing. And we talk about that too. And then you got to think, should you be just a niche or specialize in one area, focus in one area? Should you do a lot of different things? You should start doing a lot of different things and then weed things out as you go. When you plant plants, you overplant, and some of the plants just don't make it, and there's no reason why. You just weed them out, and you let the good plants grow. Do that with yourself. Invest in yourself to find out what works. And then there's the hoarding or stocking up versus minimalist or simple life. Should you try to just gather a lot of things around you? Like if you ever watch Citizen Kane, Google it. You know, he had, the character had so many just warehouses full of the most valuable museum pieces. And what did it do? He died just wanting his old sled from his, when he was a kid, Rosebud, that was the name of his sled. That was when he was happiest. He had the world. The character was the richest, about the richest man in the world. Had everything. And I've met people like that. Now, I'm not against money. Money is fantastic. But if you can't handle your $1,000 a week job or your $500 a week job, you can't handle money at that level, what makes you think you're going to be able to handle $50,000 a week? Well, you're wrong. You're not going to be able to. So you have to get yourself right. It's the old, get your mind right. Listen, son, get your mind right. So get yourself in a state of where you know yourself, you know what you want to do, you know what you like. Don't be afraid to change. That's not a flip-flop, you know. I mean, if you're walking along the mountainside and you see that the bridge is down, you don't just, I'm going anyway because I'm not changing my mind. When I say something, I'm going to do it. That's just stupidity. Change your mind, go somewhere else, it's okay. But you really want to, I know that was a really bad, nobody says that, but some people do. Say no, do something else, pick another path. Don't change your goal unless you feel that that's not you anymore. Change your goal. You haven't lost anything. All that stuff you learned, you can apply. I tell all my music students and all, everything you learn about music, that applies to the real life, because everybody that's good at this, they're good at that too. Well, that's all for now, and I hope this has been a help to you. We're going to get back next week on some gear reviews. I was going to review some gear, but all the batteries were dead. I didn't have any replacement batteries. That's the story of my life. Quiz the Music Man. You can find my music, Tony Underwood Music, on YouTube, Spotify, website, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, coming soon. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.